Strike Back Origins Part 3. This episode I thought was actually really well done. We have Porter. He goes in, gets himself, arrested so that he can go in and basically make Masuku, who assassinated a president, I believe, he has to make this guy disappear. And to me, from the very beginning, it seems suspicious that Collinson would, need an assassin to just vanish like that. But in the episode, you see, even from the very beginning, the guy who, Masuku himself, when he kills the leader, he gets busted, right after. The person who I thought that they were working with, he basically just looks and then he says, all right, hey, we're going to go in this direction. They bust the guys. And then, Porter goes in, he rescues him, and then at the end of this episode, so many things that randomly happen just so happen to help Masuku explain to Porter, like, hey, we've both been set up, like, something's going on, because I work for MI6, just like you do, and yet, I'm hired to do this assassination, and I'm instantly captured, and then you're supposed to break me out, and yet, the Range Rover isn't there, and then instead of simple, police guards or prison guards, we have full on, military elite personnel coming after us. So we've been set up because, something's going on. And it was a great ending to the episode because with the stuff that happened last week, Porter does suspect that Collinson, is the guy who ended up killing his friends. So he's sort of iffy about what he should or should not do. And initially, at the end of this episode, I thought he was going to let Masuku go, anyway. I thought he'd just say, with all the things that are going on, why does this guy who assassinated someone need to really disappear? Like, why couldn't he just stay in prison after he clearly tried to kill someone? He'd be in jail, like, pretty much for life because he tried to kill, like, a leader. So it seems suspicious to me why this guy would need to actually disappear. But, he did have, Porter did need to be convinced at the end. And it just happened, the Range Rover not being there was completely random because his partner in this case, being the woman whose name I can't remember, she gets busted by the guy who basically is, like, over the prison, like the warden. And, he busts her. And so when he goes to the prison, and once again, him being there already was just random. He found the Range Rover. He went to the prison because he thought that, the guy who was the warden at the time, he thought he might have been working with him. And, as soon as he gets there, he shoots that guy and kills him and just says, like, hey, you're in charge. And he just, keeps going because he's like, we're being screwed over for some reason. And, I don't take kindly to that. So all these random things just force Porter, to think, like, maybe I have been set up this whole time because, he just happened to get busted, and it makes him doubt things even more because he already thinks that the guy who was his best friend is the one who killed his friends, during that mission in the first episode. So it was a really cool ending where they do end up, becoming partners, Masuku and Porter. And I'm excited for, next week's episode because they're going to be working together. And in this preview, it did seem like that they would end up being partners. That's what I thought, just because, they escaped the prison together. And I thought that was the point of the episode, was to actually break this guy out of prison. And then it was revealed that it was actually to break this guy out just so that you could kill him, or so that Porter could kill him, of course. But it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it myself. Whatever it is that's going on with Porter's daughter could be interesting. I think she's just pregnant. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And I don't think it has anything to do with his wife, because after she hung up, his daughter, asked her, like, why didn't you tell him? And I feel like if it was something about, her dying, or, his wife, Porter's wife, dying, or, like, having cancer, something like that, their daughter would be a lot more upset about it, and she wouldn't just say, why didn't you tell him? So I think it's that she's pregnant, and, she's scared. She's 16, I believe he said in this episode. So, her being 16 and pregnant, that has certain issues that come along with it. So I think that's what it is, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens, in that part of the story. But, overall, I thought it was a really good episode. I love how everything did just happen to, crumble in the end of this episode, and it did, give Masuku even more reason to say, you've been set up just like I have, even though he wasn't. because if everything went according to plan, I think Porter would have just, gone along with it, because even with everything having screwed up, he was going to do it anyway until Masuku said, like, I was set up. I used to work, I did work or do work with MI6, and I was basically told to do this. And then I was set up and taken to prison. And then, your Range Rover's missing and the guards and stuff like that. So all these random things that just happen to screw up because, this main guy was really suspicious, they all just happen to work for Masuku, and they just like fuel the doubt in Porter's head. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the rest of the season, or yeah, I guess technically the rest of the season, because once he figures out like this went wrong because of this, will he doubt his decision he made in this episode? So I'm excited to see that, and I'm just excited to see where things go now that he's gonna have a partner, and whether or not MI6 is even gonna let that guy live. So I'm definitely curious, where they're gonna take things next. But excited for sure. So comment below, let me know what you thought. Favorite part, least favorite part, and thanks for watching.